Hey Travis kiddos, we have made it to our very last second step lesson. And this one is a review of all of our other second step lessons and all the skills we've learned this year. This picture here for you is an example of a class just like ours, learning and reviewing their second step lessons. You can even see Puppy and Snail in the picture. Did you spot them? There they are, sitting right by the teacher, right? So we are going to go over some of the lessons and see if you can remember the skills that we've learned and practiced so far this year. So, our very first second step lesson, way back at the beginning of the school year, we learned about listening to learn. So we looked at Will, here in the green, and Ms. Marquez, the teacher. Okay, we learned that Will was not using his listening skills. Do you remember what those listening skills were? There were 4 of them, and we had movements that went with them. We had this one, eyes watching. We had this one, ears listening. We had this one, voices quiet, and this one, body still. So we had those 4 different skills to help us listen. Because if we're not listening, if we're talking to someone else, or someone's talking to us, or we're paying attention to something else, looking at something else, moving around, making our own noise, we're not really listening to learn, right? So let's do them again. I will say the command and you show me. Voices quiet. Eyes watching. Body still. Ears listening. And here's a bonus one. How about this? Attentoscope's on. This is when you're super focused on something, right? You turn on your blinders for all the rest and just focus really carefully on one thing. Those are our attentoscopes. That was our very first second step lesson. Later on, we learned about being assertive. So in this picture, Tiffany was struggling with her work and she didn't know what to do because the teacher was helping another student. Do you remember the steps to being assertive and figuring out if you need help on something, what to do? There were a few of those as well. First, you want to think and see if you can remember what you were supposed to do. Did I actually hear the directions and just forget? Can I recall in my memory? Think. Second, look around. Use your eyes. Look around. Can you see what others are doing and maybe notice what you need to do to get back on task? So step 2, look. Step 3, you can quietly and respectfully ask a neighbor what to do. Say, excuse me, partner, what are we supposed to be doing? Right? You can ask a neighbor, but of course do it respectfully. And if none of that works, if your partner doesn't know, you can always raise your hand and ask for help from the teacher. But you want to try those other steps first to see if you can solve the problem before that. So first, think, see if you can remember or figure out what you're supposed to do. Second, look around, see if you can figure it out or read some instructions somewhere. Third, ask a neighbor or someone near you, not shouting across the room. And then, if you still can't figure it out, then raise your hand to ask for help. Okay? So that was our 5th lesson, but one of the second few skills that we learned and worked on. Okay. Then, a little bit later, we worked on identifying our own feelings. So identify means to figure it out and name it, what you're feeling, right? So in this scenario, Jarrell is upset. He's sad because he was absent the day before and missed the fire trucks, which everyone was so excited about and still talking about. So he was disappointed or sad or upset, and his tummy hurt because he was feeling those feelings. Okay? So something he did to help himself is he figured out what he was feeling, and then asked an adult for help. He told his teacher, said, I'm feeling upset, or I'm disappointed, okay? And then the teacher can help him because they know what feeling he's feeling, and then they can help solve the problem or get over that feeling or deal with it, right? It's not comfortable, but you can deal with it. Then we started talking about some really strong feelings, like Nikki, who was angry, right? She didn't know what to do, and she was so angry she was ready to tear up that paper. But we taught her, you don't have to get angry and tear up your paper. You can use some calming down strategies, right? Because when you are feeling a strong feeling, you're not thinking clearly and you're uncomfortable. So if you can calm down, you can think clearly and make some good decisions to help yourself solve the problem. So the first calming down strategy we talked about was saying stop and identifying that feeling, like with Jarrell. So we would say, stop, I'm feeling angry, or stop, I'm feeling frustrated, right? And sometimes that's enough, but then you can also ask for help and tell the teacher or a neighbor, I'm feeling very frustrated with this math problem. Can you please help me? Okay? And if that doesn't work, if identifying your feeling isn't enough, we talked about another strategy for calming down strong feelings like anger. Like here with Chad and Bruce, right? So first, stop. I'm feeling angry. And then we focused on belly breathing, remember? So putting both hands on your belly and breathing in and out. Feeling your belly get bigger as you breathe in and smaller as you breathe out. Take a couple of those belly breaths to help you calm down so that you're not angry but calm so that you can work on solving that problem, right? So still identifying the feeling, stop, I feel something, and then practicing the belly breaths. What if that's not enough? Do you remember the next plan for calming down? The next step? So this is Tiffany and Rita. That Rita always finishes things so quickly and gets to do extra fun things, and Tiffany wishes she could too. So she can stop and identify her feeling. She's feeling jealous or upset. And then she can try her belly breathing. And if that doesn't work, she can try some positive self-talk, okay? So positive self-talk is telling yourself those things that you can do and that you will do. So I can still do a good job on my work, or I can get a chance to do those fun things next time, okay? So doing the positive self-talk to help yourself calm down. Another strategy you can use, we saw Shane using when he was worried on his first day of school. So after he stopped and told himself, I'm feeling worried, he can do belly breaths. And then he can count. Remember the counting? It helps you get your mind off of what you're worried about. And it helps you continue to take time to calm down. When you're having one of those strong feelings, taking time to calm down really helps. So, breathing and counting is another way to help yourself calm down. And you can also ask for help, right? That was another thing to do. So, stop and identify your feeling. Try some belly breaths. Try some positive self-talk, try some counting, and ask for help. Ask an adult you know and trust for help. Okay? So those are ways to calm down. We've gone over our listening skills. We've gone over our ways to be assertive and figure out what to do. We've gone over ways to manage your emotions. Now, let's talk about those problem-solving steps. Okay? That was another big thing we worked on. So problem-solving steps. There were 4 of them. Do you remember? They spell out the word step. S-T-E-P. So, this is Brianna and Anne. They do not look happy with each other. Remember, they had that problem on the monkey bars. Now, and they were calling names and having trouble deciding what to do. So they had to work on their problem-solving skills. First step is S. Say the problem, right? So they have to say the problem. They were both wanting to use the same piece of equipment at the same time, but you're only allowed to have one at a time. So that's the problem. Step 2, T, is think of solutions. So think of different solutions to your problem. And then step 3 is you think about the consequences for those solutions. So explore consequences. E, explore. So exploring the consequences for the different solutions, potential solutions, means you think about what could happen if we chose each of these things. What would the outcomes be? How would people be affected? What would be the best possible outcome? And step 4, P, is pick the best solution, right? So say the problem, think of solutions, explore consequences, and pick the best solution with the best consequences, okay? And if none of that works, then you can always get help or try a different solution. Then we talked about fair ways to play. So we have Jarell again, and we have Julian. Oh, sorry, Jarell and Julian. So Jarell and Julian had a problem where they were playing different games, but I believe it was Julian who wanted to play with what Jarell was using, right? But he got called first to go choose a toy. So we talked about a few options that you can do if you want to play fairly. Do you remember what they were? There were 3. Now there's a lot of things to remember here. So if you want to play fairly, you can try sharing. So Jarell and Julian could have shared the toys, right? And used them together to build something. You could take turns. So first you play with that, and then I'll get to play with that, taking turns. Or they could trade. Hey, do you want this? I'll give you what I have. So an equal trade, right? Giving something and getting something. Those are 3 options that you can use to play fairly. And of course, using your problem-solving steps here is a good idea too, to figure out what the best solution would be with the best consequences for everyone. So, Jarell and Julian decided to share and make something together. And that is definitely a great way to play with others. Sharing, working together. The last one we talked about was dealing with name calling. Now this is a big one because it happens often. It's not nice, and sometimes our feelings get hurt, right? So when this happens, you have a few options of what you can do, right? We talked about ignoring, so pretending like you're not listening or you can't hear it or see it. Ignoring is one option. Remember, this was Nikki who fell down, and Tiffany and Brianna were laughing at her, okay? So she can ignore it. She can try talking to them and telling the girls to please stop, right? But remember, you want to use an assertive voice, not a mean or yelling voice, not a quiet, timid voice, but an assertive voice, tone, and word choice. So say, please stop laughing at me. It hurts my feelings, right? You're giving a direct command. You're being polite, but you're telling them they need to stop, okay? So you can ignore. You can use an assertive tone and voice to get them to stop. And if that doesn't help the situation, go get help from an adult, right? You could try calling names back, but I'm going to guess if you think through the consequences of that, they won't be great. And if you watch the video for lesson 21, you know that you could get in trouble, or it could just escalate the problem worse, and it doesn't make anybody feel better, right? So ignore, or assertively tell them to stop, or go get help from an adult. So you have lots of problem-solving skills and other social emotional skills in your toolbox that you have built this year. So go ahead and keep practicing them, keep using them so that you can keep learning and growing. And have fun with it all, of course. Happy learning.